welcome to another episode in my series where I investigate each Georgia county and bring y'all their most haunted location. This episode brings us to the old Clarksville Cemetery, located in Habersham County, Georgia. The cemetery is a historic site with deep roots in the early history of the town of Clarksville. The cemetery dates back to the early 19th century, serving as a resting place for many of the town's earliest settlers, local leaders, and prominent citizens. Clarksville was founded in 1821 as the seat of Habersham County, named after Revolutionary War hero General John Clark. The town quickly became a center of local government and commerce for the region. The old Clarksville Cemetery, established soon after the town's founding, became the primary burial grounds for its residents. The cemetery, like many in small southern towns, was an important part of the community, providing a final resting place for the town's early citizens, including war veterans and prominent local figures. The cemetery is the burial site for soldiers from several wars, including the War of 1812, the Civil War, and later conflicts. Many of the soldiers who fought for the Confederacy during the Civil War are buried here. Notable individuals buried in the cemetery include members of the Habersham family and other early settlers and civic leaders who shaped the region's development. Like many old cemeteries, the old Clarksville Cemetery experienced periods of neglect, with headstones becoming damaged or lost and overgrowth taking over sections of the graveyard. This led to the community efforts to restore and preserve the site. In recent decades, there has been an effort by local historical societies and civil groups to restore and maintain the cemetery. These efforts include clearing brush, restoring gravestones, and researching the history of those buried there. This group has been instrumental in the preservation efforts. They have documented many of the gravestones, conducted research into the cemetery's history, and continue to organize the community cleanups and fundraising for ongoing maintenance. One of the major projects undertaken during the restoration efforts was the documentation of the graves. Many of the older headstones had become illegible or damaged, so historical research combined with physical mapping of the cemetery has helped to identify many of the graves that were previously unknown. The cemetery remains an important historical site in Clarksville. It serves as a reminder of the town's early days and the people who helped shape its development. Many locals have a deep connection to the cemetery with ancestors buried there. In addition to the preservation efforts, the cemetery has become a place of education and reflection. Walking tours are sometimes offered, where guides explain the history of the town and its early citizens through the stories of those buried in the cemetery. The tours also highlight the different styles of tombstones and burial practices common in the 19th century. Like many old cemeteries, the old Clarksville Cemetery has had its share of ghost stories and folklore. Some locals claim to have seen or felt paranormal activity in the cemetery, with tales of ghostly figures wandering the grounds or unexplained noises at night. These stories, while largely anecdotal, have added to the cemetery's mystique and its place in local legend. The combination of its historic significance and spooky atmosphere, especially at night, has made it a focal point for local lore. The old Clarksville Cemetery stands as a testament to the town's history and cultural evolution. It not only provides a glimpse into the past of Clarksville's citizens, but also reflects broader historical events such as the Civil War, the expansion of the American South, and the changing cultural attitudes toward death and burial practices over time. Efforts to keep the cemetery preserved indicate a deep respect for the past and the role it played in shaping the present-day community of Clarksville. The cemetery is more than just a burial ground. It is a vital piece of Habersham County's heritage. The old Clarksville Cemetery is not only known for its historical significance, but also its paranormal activity. Over the years, the cemetery has become a focus for ghost stories, paranormal investigations, and local legends. Visitors to the old Clarksville Cemetery have reported seeing mysterious, shadowy figures moving between the gravestones, particularly at dusk or during the night. These shadows are often described as human-like, but without clear features, leading some to believe they are the spirits of the deceased. Many have claimed to hear strange sounds such as whispering voices, disembodied footsteps, and even faint cries or moans. These sounds are often described as coming from nowhere, adding to the eerie atmosphere of the cemetery. A common phenomenon in paranormal activity, cold spots, have been reported in the cemetery. These areas of sudden, unexplained temperature drops are often associated with ghostly presences. Some visitors have experienced these cold spots even during hot weather. Others have captured photos showing strange orbs or unexplained light anomalies. Paranormal enthusiasts often interpret these as manifestations of spirits or energy. These lights are typically seen hovering near the graves or in the wooded areas surrounding the cemetery. There have also been occasional reports of full-bodied apparitions, including a woman in a white dress who some believe is the spirit of a woman who died in childbirth. Others have claimed to see the ghostly forms of Confederate soldiers still guarding their resting place. Visitors often describe an overwhelming sensation of being watched while in the cemetery, even when they're alone. This feeling of unease, combined with the paranormal phenomena, has contributed to the cemetery's eerie reputation. Paranormal investigators and enthusiasts have explored the old Clarksville cemetery in search of evidence of ghostly activity. Some have recorded EVPs capturing what they believe to be voices of spirits communicating from beyond the grave. Others have used tools such as EMF meters to detect changes in the electromagnetic fields, which are often thought to indicate paranormal presence. One of the most persistent legends is that of a woman in white believed to be a spirit who wanders the cemetery at night. She is often associated with stories of tragic love or loss, though her exact identity remains unknown. Given the presence of Confederate soldiers' graves, some stories suggest that their spirits still roam the cemetery, guarding the grounds or reliving their final moments. Some of the old gnarled trees in the cemetery are believed to be haunted. Local folklore suggests that spirits are tied to these trees, and some visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures standing near them or hearing strange noises emanating from the tree branches. The old Clarksville Cemetery is not just a place of historical importance. Whether it's due to the cemetery's age, its connection to the region's past, or the energy left behind of those buried there, it continues to draw visitors interested in both history and the supernatural. That's all I have for y'all today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember, next time you're alone in the dark, listen closely. You might not be as alone as you think. Follow for more chilling tales and stay haunted, my friends.